Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Kyle Rowlandson, and this is Horst Gunther Burkhardt. My middle name is Enoch, by the way, a biblical name. And I wish to address a
Get
most
biblical with you all.
interesting question. Well, that as well.
Oh,
But,
HR.
however,
Do we even have HR?
I wish
Do we
to-
need HR?
I'm HR, bitch.
Yeah, I was worried about that.
God damn it, you made me break character. Anyway, today we're asking a quick question. That is, why are, and in brackets, most people reluctant to get involved in politics? Because let's face it, most are. Even the people watching this are probably quite reluctant to get involved in politics. And
It's
I've
hard
got,
work and it's not for everyone, and that's the simple answer that I have.
well, that's a simple answer, but I was about to ask if you have any, more thoughts just before I steal the whole show to talk about the 3 points I have. Do you have anything?
I really do think that it's hard work and not everyone is cut out for it, and that's okay.
Okay. I think my points are, in a way, kind of an expansion of that. So, yeah, let's get into them. Okay. It not being for everyone. I do slightly disagree with that, actually.
Yep,
I think that getting involved in politics can be a very wonderful and communal process. In certain circumstances, it very much has for me. In certain circumstances, it's also been a very shitty process for me, but you get involved with the wrong people, that happens anyway. So the reason why I think most people perceive it as only being really crappy is, of course, our favorite thing to hate on besides corruption, identity politics. But I think that everyone views it like that because that is what's pushed in the media. The media makes politics look like a boring shit show and not the fascinating and important process it is. Because if people give politics the proper time of day and the proper thought, I think maybe not most, but a lot more people would find it fascinating. I mean, think about it. It is the process that decides the distribution of power, wealth, and resources. That is interesting. Like, that process and how it can differ between countries, that is interesting. Like, one of my favorite questions for people, whether they're political or not, is, let's just say you were a dictator and you had basically godlike, dictatorial powers. In terms of, like, you say something, your word is law. You say it, it gets done. What would the country look like in 5 to 10 years? And the responses that I've gotten.
Person happy.
Well, I mean, that's a, I usually get a more complicated answer out of them. But that's where everyone wants to be. But that being said, I get very interesting answers. A lot of them varied. One of them once scared the shit out of me. It was the daughter of, I think, Chinese immigrants, or it might have been second generation or whatever. Anyway, basically, I was helping a candidate to get elected to parliament at the last federal election, and I was talking to somebody else who was helping the same candidate. And I asked them that question, and they said that Australia would be a one-party state if it was, their dictatorial, 5 to 10 years from now. It'd be a one-party state. Scared the shit out of me, but I also found it fascinating. Her reasoning, if I remember correctly, was basically less division.
Mm-hmm.
Although I argued that having one party doesn't necessarily mean less division. It probably just means less clearly defined division. Like factions within the Liberal and Labour parties. If they were all their own parties, we'd have like 6, 7 parties, but they'd be like 6, 7, major-ish parties. And we'd have a bunch of coalitions, kind of like how the Nationals and the although it's kind of funny because the Nationals and the Liberals are basically the same party. They're just one wears hats, and they're good hats too, but it's the only real difference between them.
Okay, so I think we've gotten off topic a little bit here.
Yeah,
just a little.
Yeah, but why? I guess the point is, politics can be so fascinating. but it's made to look terrible. And many of the people who do get involved in politics and who the media is also emphasizing are, well, basically very insane and ill-informed. Like your Pauline Hanson types. Like not like I understand because I've hung out with a lot of them. Funny enough, the followers of parties like Pauline Hanson. I actually don't think they're bad people. I was talking to someone about it, and they thought no, they're terrible people, and I'm like, no, they're really not. They're a lot like you and me. Only they've fallen on hard times and they need an answer. Nobody gives them a proper answer, and so when Pauline Hanson comes in and it's just like, yeah, it's the immigrants' fault. They're taking your jobs. They're doing this and that. I mean, nobody else has provided them an answer that makes any sense. Nobody's taken the time to even engage with them. Nobody like it's almost like they feel nobody cares about them, and
Yes.
so basically, the way the media makes politics look, who they promote, I think that's a large part of it. And I think that in Australia specifically, we have an attitude that it'll just work itself out. Internationally we're called the lucky country, not as a compliment, not even as like a congratulations. You come out of this pretty good in any given situation, but more like you lucky sons of bitches. You should be down in the dumps right now, yet through some anti-miracle, you have not gotten what's coming to you. That is how the international community feels about us, especially after the last decade of the Liberal Party in power at the federal level. They wonder how it hasn't all come crashing down entirely. And so they call us the lucky country because of it. But that being said, as to it just working itself out, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, it won't. It doesn't work itself out. That's why we had such a shit COVID policy for a very long time. That's why New South Wales was in very long lockdowns, because it doesn't just work itself out. We need good political leaders. We need all of us to engage in getting those political leaders into those candidates who would be those good political leaders into power. You need to get involved, and to people, there's also one more reason that I really quickly want to address, and I'm sorry for taking up most of our time here, but one more little thing is that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't fully agree with any of the parties. And it's a sentiment I can understand, but you're never going to agree with 100% of a party's policy. If you get to 80%, that is like that's unicorn territory. It's insane how good that is to agree with 80% of a party's policies. So if you get that, back that party.
Yeah.
Like if that's my advice. And I gotta say, everyone needs to get involved. Everyone needs to push people who would make better leaders of this nation into positions of power. Because again, the distribution of power part of the distribution of power, wealth, and resources is decided by voters and is decided by people acting on the ground in ways that aren't even particularly complicated or even particularly full of effort. It just takes maybe an hour a week to help get someone elected. I spent maybe a grand total at the last election helping, I don't know, I think it's maybe 15 hours.
Yep.
It wasn't that much, but it helped get someone elected. Like it took a seat off of a bad government and gave it to a new, better government. So in the half minute that we've got left, if you've got anything to add to that, and I'm sorry for taking up all the time.
I once read a statement: we must do politics or have politics done to us.
Mm.
And as much as I don't like sweeping statements, something only assist deals in absolutes, it's correct. If you decide that you don't want any part of it, if you decide that you don't really agree with anyone enough to try and get involved, to try and make the world that you want to live in a reality, then just shut the fuck up when they do something you disagree with. Because it's not like you were proposing a solution.
Put that a little nicer.
I want everyone in Australia to have an idea of what they want the country to look like, right? And I want everyone in Australia to work towards that ideal.
Hmm.
And those that don't, maybe they don't get the Australia that they want. Maybe instead
Yeah,
they get the Australia that they deserve.
yeah, and I guess to put it in more, I guess, formal language, basically what Horst is saying is that you can't really complain if you didn't contribute to the process. You can't complain about the outcome if you didn't contribute to the process of getting to that. And we're running out of time, but real quickly, if you want to know how to get involved, we do have a series, getting involved with politics. For one of those episodes, it was with Horst, and for 4 of those episodes, it was with a guy named Ken Enderby, who runs Climate Action Burwood Canada Bay. He's the president of that organization. That's who I was working with within to help get the MP Sally. I think it's Sally Satu. I keep getting her last name wrongly pronounced. But Sally in the seat of Reed, we helped get her elected. Actually, sort of deemed as one of the deciding factors that helped get her elected. So, a small organization, we had 50 volunteers, each donating a few hours, some donating, a little bit more. I did about 15.
Yep,
That
Dr.
was
Sally
enough.
Satu, member for Reed.
Yeah. Yeah. That was enough. 15 hours over the course of 8 weeks. That was it. So with that, we'll let you go, but do check out that series. It'll tell you how to get involved with like third-party action groups, even how to start your own. And at the end, we also have a nice discussion about how to get a better deal on climate change internationally, because we kind of ran through all the questions in less videos than I thought we would. Anyway, take care. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Catch you all later.